What is good, Tesla family? It's Ray J back with another video, and in this one I'm going to be talking about the one and only Tesla stock and what you should be looking out for the future. I'm also going to break down what's going on with the overall market, what's going on with the news affecting Tesla as Elon Musk just closed a big deal, what's going on with the news affecting the markets, and how on earth the data is helping Tesla pump the way it is. Before I break anything down about what's going on with the technicals for Tesla and the markets, before I talk about SPY and the QQQ as well, and a couple of other tickers out there, I do have to mention a couple of things before starting. Firstly, I am not a financial planner. Make sure you take none of this as financial advice whatsoever. And also, if you guys can, please smash the like button if you want to see more videos like this. It not only benefits me, it benefits the entire Tesla community as a whole. And the last thing is, if you guys can, please check out the Moomoo link down below and in the description. If you sign up for Moomoo, the link down below, and deposit $100 into the account, you're guaranteed 5 free stocks plus a $100 cash reward. The offer ends in just a couple of weeks, so check it out before they run out. With that out of the way, let's get on with the video. Alright, so Tesla's up pretty big in the after hours, up over 4%, continuing to pump after the bullish news that just came out about Elon Musk. And the question is, will it continue to pump or will Tesla slow down? I'm going to break that down in just a couple of minutes. But first, let's talk about what happened to the market since open. We saw a very, very crazy day today. I spent almost my entire day just looking at the charts and giving you guys some updates, and something very interesting happened. Now, yesterday, looking at the market, we saw this dump, and this was just set up to cause a trap for many investors. The technicals did turn more bearish, and we did see Tesla come very close to my target of 221, but instead Tesla held 222. However, after that, we got a lot of bullish signals, right? Looking at SPY and the QQQ, and I gave you guys another very big update. So let's start off with the videos I released. So I talked about this one right here, where I talked about the drop we might see in Tesla. It happened in the pre-market, but then after that, right, I released this video. This was my pre-market video where I talked about the bullish and bearish cases on Tesla and how Tesla was looking. And then I gave you guys another important warning. This was just shortly after my third to last video. I talked about Tesla, the trap before the squeeze. Now, let me just note that my take on SPY was a little bit off. Many people got trapped by what the market makers were doing. Basically, we're stuck in this range, by the way, in case you guys haven't noticed. 426 is the major support. Major resistance is between 429 to 430. The market makers basically caused this bearish move, which we saw yesterday, but it didn't drop the way I thought it could, because if we broke in a very strong manner below 426 on SPY, the market could have seen a lot more downside, right? That was very possible, but this ended up being a trap because we got a false breakout. They tricked a lot of people into buying puts. Put premiums went to the moon. Everyone started shorting very hard here, at least the majority of people. And the market makers tricked them and absolutely annihilated them. They do this to make money because they're taking positions on the opposite ends, and they're simultaneously making money. That's basically the biggest thing that they're doing. And this caused a lot of pain for investors. Now, when the market did this and this trap became more obvious, sometimes there are going to be instances where the indicators you use are not always perfect, and they sometimes trick investors because of what these market makers are trying to achieve. So as soon as I realized this, I released this video in the morning. I said there's a trap before the squeeze, and I predicted that this was back when SPY was in the 426 area. I told you SPY is going to squeeze to 429 plus specifically. If you don't believe me, just watch this video again. Watch it. I recorded this in real time. I told you SPY is going to see 429 plus. It's going to squeeze. I told you the QQQ, at the time the QQQ was at down here fighting for 350. I told you the QQQ is going to go all the way up to 352 plus by tomorrow. I said the same thing about SPY, and I told you that when Tesla was in the 220s, I told you we're going to see this thing fight and try to break 230. And I told you if we broke 230, it could go much higher. But I basically called this move, and I redeemed myself for what I said about SPY earlier because of what the technicals were doing, trying to fake people out. And I ended up being correct on that move. Then later on, basically I rushed this video, this 4-minute video. I rushed this because I wanted to get this out as soon as possible. I did not get a good opportunity to break down some levels on Tesla. So I released another video to break down these levels. And I told you guys in this video, right, I released this just a little bit before the market closed during power hour. I told you Tesla was looking strong. We're likely going to see it continue to push to the upside. And I told you if it broke that 236 level, we could see it break above the 240s. And that is what happened right over here. Tesla continued to break out. So Yes, I'm a human. I'm not perfect. I make mistakes. Technicals are not always correct. And I also am not always going to be right. However, I do my best. And if you literally just go back and watch all these videos, you will see that I was right on the majority of these calls, but I was wrong about how low Tesla would go, and also on SPY potentially seeing, a retest of 426 and maybe a breakout. I did tell you guys we had to watch for confirmation though, but once again, things like this happen. I'm a human. I make mistakes. But I did, in my opinion, redeem myself by making 3 very correct calls on Tesla, such as the level to watch for, it breaking out and it continuing to break out, which I just said a couple of hours ago, and that is what happened. So now the question is, will Tesla keep going or is Tesla going to slow down? Well, why is Tesla pumping so hard in the after hours? That's because Elon Musk just closed a big deal. GM is now going to be able to use the Tesla charging network, which is going to help Tesla boost its profits. Now, why do I say this? Because if you think about it, there's so many other EVs out there, right? We have Fords out there, we have Toyota making EVs, the list goes on. And what Tesla decided to do is have control over the charging networks, close deals, and get other companies to depend on them. Now, that may sound a little bit sketch to some people, but that's not my intention. Basically, it gives Tesla more power, more control, more profits, more revenue, and the list goes on. This is going to boost Tesla's earnings to some degree, and this is once again another very big business. Tesla's a part of it. Tesla already has control over it. This is going to help Tesla grow even quicker. And the truth is, it's not just GM. We have Ford and GM. That's massive. Millions of cars are going to be added over the next couple of years to Tesla's charging network, and it's going to continue to grow. This also incentivizes more companies to do the same thing, because instead of one company trying to make its own charging network and another, it's just very, very insane. It's very rambunctious with all these companies just fighting it out. So Tesla has the control. Tesla's in charge of the charging network, and these other companies are joining and going to be using Tesla's network. Think about how bullish that is. Think about how awesome that is. And Elon Musk just closed the deal right after the market closed. How insane is that? Very, very awesome stuff. People are very excited about this. The Tesla investors are celebrating. Tesla is pumping very, very hard. Under the deal, GM is going to have access to 12,000 of Teslas, fast chargers, and they're going to be able to use its adapters. Now, that is once again very awesome. Ford also did the same thing. These are good moves by GM and Ford, and I consider this to be very, very awesome. We're seeing a lot of other people getting involved. Once again, very awesome news. Elon Musk was very happy about it. Now let's talk about the markets just briefly. NIO has earnings tomorrow. Get ready for it. That's all we have. I'm excited about it, but I'm going to talk about that in just a few minutes. For SPY, it's pretty insane. We have over 500,000 calls expiring tomorrow and over 1 million puts expiring with a 1.92 put to call ratio. So what does this mean? The majority of people out there are betting that the market's going to tank tomorrow. When most people do something, the opposite tends to happen. The market makers tend to cause pain for them. Is it a guarantee though? Not necessarily, because sometimes the bears could try to, fight back. But for now, the odds are greatly favoring the market makers trying to hold the market up or even squeezing it. Now, once again, I'm not guaranteeing that. I'm saying it's more likely based off this piece of data, and also also based off this piece of data. The stock market is once again, according to Yahoo Finance, in a bull market. People are going to celebrate about this, become very excited. Is it true? Maybe it is. We are technically in bull market territory, depending on how you define it, whether you use like the pro strategy or the pro definition or not. We're technically there. But like I said on this channel, I don't care. I don't care if it's a bull market, a bear market, a kangaroo market, a koala market. I don't care. What matters is, what are the charts telling us? What is the data telling us? What's going on with the Fed's monetary policy and these different things? And how on earth will all this data affect the charts? What are the charts telling us? That's what matters so much more. That's why I'm not too fixated on these terms. I don't really care what this means. This does not mean that you have to just go all in on calls and stuff. You would just have to be open-minded and look at what the charts tell us and watch for confirmations. Now, there was some news which involved the US and Iran, but once again, they both deny any form of a deal just yet. This was coming out and initially being very, very optimistic for the markets, but both countries have denied that the deal is ready as of right now. We have some data coming out tomorrow. It's not that significant, though. It's just the agriculture supply and demand report. Nothing too massive for the markets, but it may affect our daily lives. So if you're interested, just watch this at about 12 o'clock p.m. Eastern time. It's going to be about the supply and demand of agriculture products. Now, for Tesla, going forward, look at the short interest. The shorting has gone up like crazy on Tesla, and as a result, the price is continuing to pump. Thank you, shorts. You guys have helped pump Tesla even harder, as many of them are covering their positions, and many of the acts of them hedging their short positions, especially for the market makers and also for institutions, the act of them closing short positions leads them to buy shares. They start hedging even more. They have to delta hedge, and that is what's bringing in a lot more buying pressure for Tesla. This is what's helping it pump even more. The act of them closing these short positions out, you can see we went from seeing 55 million Tesla shares shorted down to about 45 million. It's continuing to drop as the days go on. The act of this is helping Tesla pump, and this is continuing to incentivize the market makers to squeeze those shorts. On top of that, there's not much else to say. I mean, this is making all the news. There's a lot of positive stuff about Tesla. Articles are saying how and why it will reach $300 for Tesla. Tesla's growing. The AI winner is what Tesla is, and the list goes on. Tesla also tends to be green about 49% of the time on Fridays. June tends to be a very strong month for Tesla. It's green 79% of the time in the month of June. That's insane. It's the strongest month of the year for Tesla historically, and so far Tesla has had a very strong start. For seasonality, it tends to be very strong during the second hour and also during the fourth hour, sometimes during the fifth hour too, but watch those hours specifically. And finally, you can see right here, there's lots of support, but we're well above these levels right now. It doesn't matter. Price-price ratio is very high. Tesla's outperforming the market. So now let's talk about the charts very, very briefly. So for Tesla, you're going to be watching these levels. It's continuing to pump. It has resistance at, well, it depends on where we open, so I can't guarantee anything like this. If we're bullish, 245.95 is going to be resistance. Let me make this a little bigger so you can see it. 245.95 is resistance. Break that. It's going to fly to 247.5. Break that. The 250 range is going to come. Break 250. You're going to see 254.26, 257.65, and then 260 is the next major resistance, then 262.5, and the list goes on. 265 could come after that. 265 to 266 specifically. 266 is where we've seen a lot of rejections. It could pump, over the next couple of weeks, depending on the FOMC meeting and like CPI. But for now, trend is looking very strong. There's no confirmation of it slowing down. It is fighting this 245.95 resistance. It's slowing it down for now. Now, if Tesla breaks down, however, there's support at 244.5, 242.5, 240, 236.17, 234.5, followed by the 232 zone all the way down here, and then we have 230 like right here. So right now, technicals look bullish. It's holding up quite nicely. It is overbought a bit, so there could be a slight pullback, but very, very tiny. Maybe it drops a couple of dollars because of that. It drops a little bit. But because of the news involving GM, investors are excited. They may start to FOMO in tomorrow, and there's no sign of weakness in the chart. For that reason, any pullback may be very minor, and for now, it's looking very strong. It might just continue pumping. Tesla is a monster and has a lot of capabilities to run. But always remember to be open-minded, right? I'm not guaranteeing upside. I'm always going to talk about both possibilities. But if it breaks the levels I listed, it could be well on its way past 250 into the 250s. There's a good chance of that happening because of all the bullish news that's coming out from the headlines like CNN and Yahoo Finance declaring that we are in a bull market, to the bullish news from Elon Musk closing the New Deal. Once again, all bullish news for Tesla. Nothing is bearish that came out so far. Tesla's pumping, looks very strong. The 1 hour is very bullish, 4 hour too. It is a little overbought, but Tesla doesn't seem to care too much most of the time. Yes, when we open, it could be a little bit lower by the time we open. It could open up in the mid 240s or something like that, and then start pushing up again during the open hours. That's very possible. That's the more bullish case. But always watch these levels as support and resistance going forward. I will give you guys more details about how it opens tomorrow morning. But for now, it looks strong, and the odds favor, a bullish outcome, a more explosive tomorrow. The odds favor that. I'm not guaranteeing it, but it's very likely. On top of that, with SPY, I mean, we're basically stuck in the range between the 429 to 430 resistance, and then support is very close to about 426. This is like the major support. If 426 breaks, it's going to come tumbling down. If it manages to break and hold 430 in a strong manner, this thing has the potential to test 431. The 431 resistance zone, which is right here, I will talk about this tomorrow. It's basically 431.25 to about 431.76. Break that. We're going to see 433, which is not that strong resistance. The more major resistance is closer to 435.61. And break 435 zone. If you break that zone, you're going to see 438 and 440. But I'm not too worried about those super high levels yet until we get confirmation. I went over the bullish and bearish cases, by the way. If it starts dropping, there's support at 429, 428.5, 427.5, which is where the 50 EMA happens to be, and also another support zone, and then the 426s. Now, be open-minded to both the bullish and bearish cases. I'm going to be unbiased, okay? I'm prepared for anything, and always watch these levels. However, seeing how many puts there are, seeing the net premiums today on the put side, seeing Tesla turning bullish and pumping very hard, looking at NVIDIA holding up, looking at Apple, which looks more bullish than bearish to me. The odds favor, the probabilities are in favor of the market trying to test these highs again, trying to push up even more, and maybe even breaking out. And then watch the levels for confirmation. If it does get the confirmation to the upside, breaking 430, we could see more upside in the market squeeze. I want to prepare you right now. I want to warn you, and I want you guys to be open-minded nonetheless. But anyways, good news so far. For the triple Q, there's a potential bullish triangle forming, which favors the odds of it breaking 354. If it breaks and holds 354, watch 355.5, 356, 357.5. I'm not sure why this is at 358. It should be 357.5 basically. Break that, and then we're going to see 360 basically. If we're bearish, watch support at the 50 EMA at 352. If that fails, it's going to come all the way down to 350 basically. 350.95, then 350 to 349. And if that fails, then 347.66 is the next support. Now, where am I leaning towards? Well, Tesla's pumping. Apple is looking relatively good right now. And you could argue it's forming like a cup and handle like formation, just like Amazon. The odds favor the upside. There's like a bullish triangle forming, but I'm always going to be open-minded nonetheless, okay? I'm always open-minded. I'm always prepared for anything. It's just that probabilities favor upside. NIO has earnings. I know a lot of you don't want to hear about NIO, but I keep calling out NIO because the setup looks really nice. The news is very negative about NIO, saying that NIO is going to crash. The CEO tends to hype up investors. We have an inverse head and shoulders, a cup and handle, a bullish divergence, all playing out at the same time. And we have these imbalances up here at 8.61. The odds are favoring upside for NIO. It doesn't just have to be because of its earnings. It could be because of guidance. But I'm always open-minded. If it breaks below 7.5, it's going to crash to 7. If it breaks above 8.2, it's going to test 8.61 and potentially $9 plus. And I'm open-minded no matter what. I'm always going to be hedging even during like days like this. But the odds favor the CEO, William Lee Ben, hyping up investors and potentially, saying some announcement that's going to involve NIO growing more, maybe increasing production. And the odds favor this pushing to the upside to this imbalance zone and getting closer to $9. But I'm always open-minded just in case, because once again, earnings are risky. Nasdaq is once again pumping. No true sign of it breaking down just yet. There was a bearish divergence, but it's trying to break right back down. So this one led to the downside we saw in the morning, followed by a nice bounce. And now the Nasdaq is still green. It's still uptrending. So there's no true confirmation of it breaking down. For now, it still has strength, and it's going to be dictated by Tesla and Apple. So be careful with it. For SPX, I mean, it's holding up. It's getting very close to testing 4,300. If it breaks 4,300, it has a lot of room for upside. For now, it hasn't done that, so watch for confirmation. If it breaks the low right here at 42.60, if it breaks 42.60, it has a lot of downside to come. It's still stuck in this range, just like, SPY is basically following it. Watch these levels very carefully. Now, when it comes to the VIX, the VIX is down. There's no sign of it bouncing just yet. If the VIX continues to drop, that's going to be because of the market dragging it down. There's still nothing else going on with it that's too significant, though. The dollar index broke down today, and as the dollar breaks down, this tends to favor the bulls more. No guarantee it's going to continue to break down since it's very close to testing the 200 EMA. But as the dollar continues to remain low, this increases the odds of the market holding up. Coinbase, if we're bullish, the bullish case would be it coming all the way up to this imbalance at like 58. That's more likely seeing how it's uptrending. The bearish case would be it breaking down and failing to hold above 55. If that happens, and has this other imbalance around like 52, and potentially 50 to 49.78. The odds are favoring though as the market is trying to pump with Tesla, it coming all the way up to this imbalance at 58 plus. But I'm always open-minded just in case. For Apple, if Apple's bullish, 181.21, then 182.5 to 182.7 are going to be tested. We're about to get a bullish cross on the 4-hour. Odds favorite trying to push up. If it breaks 182.5 to 182.7, it's going to come all the way up to, in my opinion, getting closer to 185. If it breaks down, you're going to be watching the 50 EMA as support at 178 if 180 fails us. So 180, 178, 176.87 as support, and then 175 after that. The odds are favoring it continuing to hold and trying to push up. It's holding above 180, so that's good. And we're about to get a bullish cross on the 4-hour, like I said. The news about the market being in a bull market is helping the market to some degree. So that might cause Apple to hold up and maybe retest 182 plus very soon. But always watch for confirmation first. Not a guarantee. I'm always going to watch for confirmation first. I'm just saying what's more likely. NVIDIA, if you're bullish, you're going to be watching it get closer to 390. If it fails to do so, it's going to come down to this like 376 support down here. We're about to get a bullish cross on the 4-hour, so NVIDIA is looking a lot better. But I'm always going to be open-minded by looking at both directions because the 50 EMA is at 376. If 377 to 376 fails, it's going to come down to 375. And then we have 380 as support. And if it keeps pumping, right, the trend is still starting to favor the bulls a bit more. Watch this resistance where this imbalance is closer to 389 to 390. Break that, there's 395, then 400. For NVIDIA, though, I'm going to be open-minded because the 50 EMA is holding it for now, and we're just going to have to wait and see how the Nasdaq dictates it. But for now, the market is showing more strength than weakness. I'm always open-minded, though, to both possibilities. Let me just make that clear. For Google, there's a bullish divergence. The odds favorite trying to bounce very soon. If you look at the smaller time frames, like the 30-minute or the 1-hour, the bullish case would be a retest of it getting close to like 124. Break that, then you're going to see 124.21, then potentially 125, then 127 plus. If you're bearish, 122, then 120.75, then 120 are going to come. In my opinion, there's a bullish divergence, so the odds increase of it trying to get this bounce. But I'm going to remain open-minded and wait for confirmation of a break above the 250 EMAs first. Finally, for Amazon, if we're bullish, we're going to be watching Amazon break above 125.63. Break that, and we're going to be seeing this imbalance all the way up here around 127. It has potential to do that. It's looking pretty strong. For bearish, it's going to break below the 50 and make its way closer to the 200 EMA around 121. That's the more bearish and bullish case. The odds favor it breaking to the upside, in my opinion, but I'm always going to be open-minded to either possibility. Watch the 50 EMA as support. A break below it could be confirmation, but if it breaks this high right here at 125.63, the high of the day today, the odds favorite coming up to this imbalance and getting closer to about 127. For Meta, and I forgot to mention there's like a cup and handle like formation forming on Amazon right here. So that's once again favoring the bulls. But I'm always open-minded, of course, to either possibility. Same thing with Meta. I'm always open-minded, but there is a potential cup and handle forming. Now it's stuck between the 50 and the 200. If it breaks the 50, it's going to come all the way up above 266. Then we're going to see 269, 270, and etc. get tested. If it ends up failing, watch 262 as support at the 200. If that fails, there's 260, then 258.9. What's more likely? Well, the cup and handle is forming, and the market is looking a little bit stronger now that the news came out. So I'm leaning a little bit more bullish, but I'm always open-minded. I'm going to watch which level it breaks towards. But it did get a nice bounce after the bullish divergence formed, and there's a good chance it may try to continue with the cup and handle. I'm always going to be open-minded, though, so watch the market carefully, and I'll see you guys very, very soon. Tesla's continuing to pump, getting closer to 250. By the time we get to the pre-market, it may be at a very different level, so watch these all carefully and watch all the support and resistance levels I talked about. Could we get an explosive move tomorrow? Yes, it's looking very bullish right now, but let's see where it opens first, and let's watch how it reacts to like major resistance levels first before making a claim like that. So be open-minded, be very, very unbiased, and we'll see what happens tomorrow morning. But for now, just know, although I said both the bullish and bearish cases are possible, looking at SPY and what I just mentioned about the data, the odds do favor the market trying to pump more. The odds favor that, but I'm always going to be watching for confirmation nonetheless. All right, guys, thank you all so much for listening. I'm not a fortune teller. I do not always know what the market's going to do. I don't know. In fact, I never know with 100% certainty what's going to happen because I'm always going to try to be open-minded. But I do say things based off high conviction, high confidence, based off levels that break and based off confirmations that tend to come in the markets. I'm going to do my best to remain as unbiased as possible, but then talk about what's more likely to happen based off data, based off technicals, based off news, and the list goes on. So the odds favor the market holding up and maybe trying to pump more tomorrow, but I'm going to be watching for confirmation first to be more confident. I'm not promising it. I'm saying it's more likely based on what we're seeing. All right. So thank you for listening. Enjoy the rest of the day. I'll see you guys tomorrow morning. Tesla to the moon alongside the whole market, and peace out.